the 24th of June 2024. This is Newsfirst Primetime News coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. For the Newsfirst team, I am Jaimal Ratnayaka.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara, and here are your headlines for tonight.
Judicial Service Association warns of coordinated attack on judicial independence. Sri Lankan youth forcibly held in cyber slave camps in Myanmar to be moved to another location. President Wickremesinghe to address the nation on Wednesday. Rating agencies must declare Sri Lanka's status, not the president, says opposition leader. Vyalendran gets new state minister position. Education Ministry writes to Defence Ministry seeking security for schools and universities. Your top story for tonight. The Judicial Service Association says that it observed a specific effort to discredit impartial judges is unfolding in parts. Issuing a statement, the Judicial Service Association points out that one of the steps in the discrediting effort is to create ideologies that will cause personal discredit to the judges who have taken important decisions for the well-being of the judicial system after they are transferred.
The Judicial Service Association serves as the premier professional organization for district judges and magistrates in Sri Lanka. A statement to Parliament on the 19th of June by the Minister of Justice prompted the Judicial Service Association to issue a statement. The Judicial Service Association expressed concern over unwarranted criticisms directed at the judicial system. These critiques, it argued, have the potential to undermine the entire legal framework. The association asserts that these criticisms are planned attacks motivated by dissatisfaction with legal rulings and orders issued by courts in accordance with the law, particularly in cases where the opposing parties have politically challenged the legitimacy of these rulings without distinguishing between truth and falsehood. A translated excerpt from the statement reads, quote, "A party aggrieved by a judicial decision may utilize the Supreme Legislature, a pillar of the people's sovereignty, to voice dissent without resorting to the constitutional appellate procedure. This exercise of public sovereign power under the guise of parliamentary privilege contravenes Article 91E of the Standing Orders, which prohibits expressing opinions on ongoing cases. We view this as malicious criticism of the judiciary, constituting a public challenge to its independence, an essential foundation of a democratic society." End quote. The Judicial Service Association also highlighted that the ultimate goal of discrediting judges personally is to undermine their courage and impartiality, thereby weakening the judiciary and making it susceptible to external manipulation. The association notes that recent attacks have primarily targeted the former Colombo Chief Magistrate and the former Mount Lavinia Magistrate. Additionally, the Judicial Service Association said there is an ongoing effort to replace the current Secretary of the Judicial Service Commission by propagating falsehoods. The Judicial Service Association emphasized its unwavering support for the Secretary of the Judicial Service Commission, who is committed to protecting judicial officers from external influencers. Judicial Service Association said that traditionally the Minister of Justice, though not a member of the judiciary, has played a crucial role in safeguarding the dignity of the judiciary against external pressures in the Westminster parliamentary model. The Judicial Service Association pointed out that judges, bound by the high traditions of their profession, cannot publicly counter such pressures. The Judicial Service Association warned that when an individual holding a significant and sensitive role in upholding the rule of law becomes a party to a case and expresses dissatisfaction with the court's decision, it can lead to unnecessary conflict between the legislature and the judiciary. It added that this is a situation that would lead to serious and disastrous consequences and must be defeated unconditionally. The Judicial Service Association stressed that protecting the independence of the judiciary is an irrevocable and is the collective responsibility of every citizen to ensure a civilized society. The Young Lawyers Association shared their views on the matter.
Regarding the President's criticism of the decision related to the Gender Equality Bill, we don't see it as just a mere statement. We view it as another instance of undermining the judiciary to maintain his power. On the 19th of July, Justice Minister Vijaydasa Rajapaksa and MP Dayasiri Jayasekara issued various statements targeting the judiciary. They come to Parliament and use parliamentary privileges to criticize these judges, creating significant public disapproval towards them. These critics don't appear to be fair. They seem to be motivated by animosity, particularly targeting certain judges who have made decisions against members of the ruling party. According to the separation of powers, the three branches of government should operate independently without overstepping each other. It appears the executive and legislative branches are attempting to exert undue influence over the judiciary, which we see as a very concerning situation. Ultimately, the judiciary is the institution that people turn to for justice against legislative and executive actions. Now, these unfounded allegations are being used to erode public trust in the judiciary.
චෝදනා ගෙනල්ලා ඒ ආයතනය සම්බන්ධයෙන් යම් හෝ මහජන විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒක බිඳ වැටෙන පරිදි තමයි දැන් මේ කටයුතු කරන්න උත්සාහ කරන්නේ.
ජනාධිපතිවරයා මුහුණට ඡන්දය තියනවා ජනාධිපතිවරණයක් තියනවා කියන කාරණේ ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
The President and other government officials have spoken about upcoming presidential elections. Yet some officials have suggested delaying elections or extending the President's term through a referendum or other administrative decisions. In such scenarios, people rely on the judiciary to uphold their rights. We have strong suspicions that the foundation is being laid to avoid future elections or manipulate the process in favor of the ruling party.
ඉදිරියට යද්දී සමාජයෙන් එන පීඩන එහෙම නැත්නම් සමාජයෙන් එන අපවාදයන්ගෙන් ගැලවෙන්න අවශ්‍ය පදනමද මේ හදාගන්න කියන බලවත් සැකය අපිට තියෙනවා.
Mathura Civil Appeal High Court Judge Samath Madanayaka handed down a sentence of 7 years imprisonment with hard labour to 3 police officers, including the former OIC of the Tissa Maharama Police. This verdict comes in response to their conviction for the severe torture of 5 youths who were apprehended under suspicion in the year 2005.
In 2008, the Attorney General filed a case under the Prevention of Cruel Torture Act against 3 police officers. The charges stem from an incident where 5 individuals, including a student from the Sri Jayawardhanapura University, were allegedly taken from a hotel in the Tissa Maharama area to the police and subjected to inhumane torture by the accused officers. The judge found the first defendant, the then OIC of the police, guilty on one of the 5 charges, and he was sentenced to 7 years of imprisonment with hard labour. The second defendant, a sub-inspector at the time, was found guilty on 4 out of the 5 charges. The judge imposed a total sentence of 28 years with 7 years of hard labour for each charge. Notably, the sentences would run concurrently, resulting in a maximum of 7 years of actual imprisonment. The third defendant, a police sergeant, was found guilty on all 5 charges. His sentence amounted to 35 years with 7 years per charge to be served concurrently over a 7-year period. Deputy Solicitor General Niranjan Piris represented the Attorney General during the proceedings. Meanwhile, senior lawyer Dhanushka Jayasinghe and attorney at law Rajitha Jayavikrama advocated for the aggrieved youth.
Reports indicate that Chinese underworld groups are preparing to transport Sri Lankan youth who are currently being forcibly held in Myanmar to another country. These vulnerable individuals are held against their will to commit cyber crimes.
In an exclusive comment to Newsfirst, several members from a youth group have confirmed that preparations are underway for the relocation process. They said that the group will be moved out of the notorious Mewati region in groups.
Newsfirst has been reporting for several months about over 50 Sri Lankan youths being detained by an armed group in a remote area near the Myanmar-Thailand border. These individuals were lured to Myanmar with promises of IT-related jobs, but were instead forced into committing cybercrimes. The detainees, held in 3 locations in Myanmar's Myawaddy region, have been subjected to various forms of torture, to compel their involvement in these criminal activities. During our extensive investigations and reporting, 8 Sri Lankan youths held near Myanmar were rescued, but approximately 50 others remain forcibly detained in 2 different locations. Around 20 Sri Lankan youths are held captive about 5 kilometers from Myanmar, while the remaining 28 are detained 26 kilometers away.
ඒගොල්ලෝ කියන්නේ නම් අපි දැන් මෙහි මෙතන වැඩ කරන්න බෑ මේගොල්ලන්ට බලපෑම් වෙන ප්‍රශ්න ගමයිට අපේ ලංකාවේ මේ තොරතුරු දන්නවා කියලා මේගොල්ලන්ට ආරංචියක් හරි ඇවිල්ලා අපි වෙන තැන් වලට ගෙනියන්න හදන තත්ත්වයක් තියෙන මොකද චීන ජාතිකයෝ මියන්මාර් ජාතිකයෝ 100ක් 200ක් වගේ කොටස් වගේ අරන් ගිහලා තියෙනවා. අරන් ගිහිපු තැන් දන්නෙත් නෑ අපිට කියන්නේ නම් කාම්බෝජේ වෙන තායිලන්තේ වගේ තියෙන තැන් වලට අරගෙන යන කතාවක් තමයි අපිට ඔය චීනයේ කතා කරන දේවල් වලින් අපිට තේරෙන්නේ මේ තැන් වලට අරන් යන්න හදනවා කියලා. මොකද මේ තැන් වල තවත් දරුණු තැන් කියලා තමයි අපිට ආරංචි තියෙන්නේ. එහෙම වුණොත් ජීවත් වෙන තාකල් මෙහෙ ඉන්න වෙන්නේ. තියෙන මේ 30 වෙනිදාන් ඉස්සෙල්ලා මේගොල්ලෝ හැමෝම මේ මෙතනින් අරගෙන යනවා කියලා තමයි මේගොල්ලෝ හැම වෙලේම කියන්නේ.
The detainees reported that due to the increased awareness in European countries and Australia about cybercrimes, it has become harder for them to find new victims. As a result, the captors have increased punishments for the Sri Lankans who fail to meet daily targets.
ඉස්කෝල් 500ක් ගහන්න ඕනේ ඉස්කෝල් 500 අරගෙන විදියට හරියට ගෙවෙන්නේ නැත්තම් එයාලා කසයක් හදාගෙන තියෙන වයර් කේබල් එකට එකතු කරලා ලොකු කසයක් මහත ඒකෙන් අපිට ගහනවා කියලා තියෙන්නේ අසනීපෙන් වගේ ඉන්නවා වගේ පෙන්නවොත් එහෙම අපේ මීටින් රූම් එකක් තියෙනවා ඒකට අරන් ගිහලා කරන්ට් පොලින් මේ කරන්ට් එක ගන්නවා කිව්වා අලුතෙන් account එක ඕපන් කරන්නකෝ මේ ඔක්කොම මේ ලංකාවේ කට්ටියට තව කෙනෙක් දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නවා ඒ කියන්නේ පොයිනස්ලා විතරයි මේ දඩුව චීනයේ ඒ කට්ටියට කිසිම දඩුවමක් නැහැ එයාලා ඉස්කෝල් ගන්න ඕවර් ටයිම් කරන්නේ වැඩට යන්න පැයකට කලින් ඕවර් ටයිම් කරන්න ඕනේ ආයෙ වැඩේ ලෙවිලා වැඩේ ලෙවුවාට පස්සේ පැයක් ඕවර් ටයිම් කරන්න ඕනේ ඉස්කෝල් 500ක් ගන්න ඕනේ එතන අපිට ඔය දඬුවම් ටික පටන් ගන්නවා දඬුවම් පටන් ගන්න ඉස්කෝල් 500ක් මම හිතන්නේ ගෑනම ඉතින්ම කියලා ඔක්කොටම ගන්න ඕනේ අපේ කට්ටියට ඉස්කෝල් 500ක් එක දිගට ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා මම හිතන්නේ කොහොමද අපි ගහන එක නම් යාලා ගන්නවා මොනවද හිතන්නේ තවත් ඉස්සර
මේගොල්ලෝ කීප වරක්ම කියලා තියෙනවා අපිට උඹලට අවශ්‍ය නම් උඹලා අපේ ඇග්‍රීමන්ට් එකක් තියෙනවා ඒ ඇග්‍රීමන්ට් වල තියෙන මෙන්න මේමයි $5000 මුදලක් තියෙනවා ඒ 5000 මුදල උඹලා දීලා උඹලට යන්න පුළුවන් අපි කතා කරලා කිව්වා රජයට මේ කතා කරලා කිව්වා මෙහෙමයි අපිට මෙන්න මේ වගේ මුදලක් තමයි මේගොල්ලෝ ඉල්ලන්නේ මේ මුදල පුළුවන් නම් අපිට ලබා දෙන්න ඉල්ලීමක් කරා අවස්ථා දෙකකදී දැනුවත් කමින් ආපු ගමනක් නෙමෙයි අපේ අසරණකමටත් අපි ලංකාවේ ජීවත් වෙන්න අපහසුතාවයක් තියෙන හින්දා මේ ජීවිතේ ගැට ගහගන්න පවුල් නඩත්තු කරගන්න ඕන හින්දා තමයි අපි මෙතෙන්ට ආවේ ව්‍යාපාරික ප්‍රජාවක් ඉන්නවා අපේ රටේ උදව්වක් කරන්න පුළුවන් කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් ඒ හරහව මේ ලබා දෙන්න කියලා හරින බැගෑපත් ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා මොකද අපිට සරණක් තියෙන්නේ අපේ රටෙන් විතරයි.
A delegation of Sri Lankan diplomats will be departing for Russia today to investigate the alleged involvement of retired military personnel from Sri Lanka in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. The team includes Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Tharaka Balasurya, Members of Parliament Dayasiri Jayasekara and Gamini Valeboda, Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunaratne and Dr. Saman Veerasinghe, a former ambassador to Russia. During their visit, the delegation will hold talks with the Russian Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Deputy Minister of Defence.
The Election Commission will be empowered to proclaim the date for the presidential election in 23 days.
Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe is to deliver a special statement to the nation on Wednesday. Director General of the Government Information Department in a statement said that the President's special statement will air on the 26th of June at 8 p.m. across all electronic media in the country.
What will the President announce to the nation? The United National Party chairman made the following clarification a day earlier.
When countries go bankrupt, it can take 8 to 10 years to recover. On the 14th and 15th of next month, there are 3 cases in the US against the Sri Lankan government. If we can't repay our debts, we can't move forward. If Sri Lanka defaults, we will face international isolation, unable to travel or negotiate abroad. This would label us as a bankrupt nation. I am confident the President will free our country from this global shame by the end of this month. Don't be afraid of this. Your duty is to ensure a future for your children. If you want Sri Lanka to be a strong, independent nation, you must support Ranil Wickremesinghe to lead this country uninterrupted for the next 12 years. Otherwise, we risk becoming a colony, falling into poverty and despair. The nation will suffer and we need a way out.
Is the president's next move a presidential election? Here's Minister Harin Fernando's response.
මම දැන් මට ලොක්ක දාන ප්‍රෙෂර් එකට සෝරි ජනාධිපතිතුමා දාන ප්‍රෙෂර් එකට ඡන්දේ තියෙනවා. ඒක මට කියන්න පුළුවන් එච්චරයි. ඒ කියන්නේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා ඉල්ලනවා. අනිවාර්යයෙන්. මට දාන
Absolutely. Given the pressure I'm under as the national election organizer of the UNP, I was in Matra yesterday opening our office. We are actively working. You will see next month how much progress we have made. Absolutely certain. Otherwise, we would not be pushed this hard. However, one thing is clear. Parliamentary elections must precede the budget. According to the IMF conditions, I believe a parliamentary election must be held by the end of February. I can't say if that will be delayed, but a presidential election will definitely take place. I can say that with confidence.
The leader of the opposition also weighed in on the matter today following an event to donate a smart classroom to the St. John's College in Kaluthara.
අපිට කියාගන්න බෑ අපි බංකොලොත්ද නැද්ද කියලා. ඒක තීන්දුව වෙන්නේ ජාත්‍යන්තර ශ්‍රේණිගත කිරීම මූල්‍ය දත්ත රටක මූල්‍ය හැකියාව මත මූල්‍ය තිරසර භාවය මත ගන්න තීන්දුවක්. ඒතර තවමත් සමහර ශ්‍රේණිගත
We cannot pass judgment on our bankruptcy. That declaration is done through internationally accepted rating methods, financial data, the country's financial strength and financial sustainability. Based on certain ratings, we are still categorized under selective default. In simple terms, we should understand that it is the Department of Examinations which announces a child's results. The child does not grade himself or herself. Bankruptcy isn't decided by an individual or a group within that country. It is made based on financial data by international rating agencies. What Sri Lanka must aim for is to obtain the best possible terms for debt restructuring. It should not be impeded to serve the interests of international sovereign bondholders. If that does happen, I view it as a treacherous act. The people must be aware of all this data, especially given the situation we are in. Hoodwinking the masses and leading them astray is a sign of moral decay.
හොඳම හොඳ අවධානයෙන් ඉන්නට ඕන. මොකද ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම මේ රටේ පරිහානියට එක හේතුවක් තමයි ජනතාව රැවටීම. ජනතාව මංමුලා කිරීම. ජනතාව ඇන්දවීම.
How can someone who bankrupted the country claim it's not bankrupt? Sunil Handunnetti of the National People's Power made the following comments.
Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying to paint a rosy picture, claiming that the country is not bankrupt. Our concern is whether this is true regardless of his claims. Is Ranil Wickremesinghe the person who issues the international declaration? If he claims the country is not bankrupt, then he should have addressed this earlier. To prove the country is not bankrupt, we need to be able to pay our debts, increase our foreign reserves, adjust interest rates, strengthen the economy and improve the purchasing power of the people. Numerous indicators must be considered. It is not something Ranil Wickremesinghe alone can declare. We can't accept the word of the person who led us into bankruptcy, now claiming that we are not bankrupt.
This is the position of Pivituru Heluruma leader Udaya Gannampila, a party to the Sarva Jana Balaya.
The government's claim that we have escaped bankruptcy by paying off a small portion of bilateral debt is utterly false. We state this with full responsibility. The majority of our foreign debt is in private loans, not bilateral ones. The government reached a debt restructuring agreement with bilateral lenders about 3 months ago. However, they have been unable to secure similar agreement with private bondholders and other commercial creditors, which is why they did not declare an end to bankruptcy 3 months ago. Sri Lanka remains the only country that has failed to restructure its debt even after 2.5 years of bankruptcy. With elections approaching, the government is now trying to mislead the public by signing the bilateral debt agreement and claiming we are no longer bankrupt, ignoring the unresolved private debt.
මෙන්න අපි බංකොලොත් බවින් මිදුනාය කියලා බොරුවක් කියලා රටේ ජනතාව රවට්ටන්න.
Only international credit rating agencies can declare if a country is bankrupt or not. This is the view of MP Sirasa Sekara.
Whether a country is bankrupt or not is determined by international credit rating agencies. It is like a student claiming they have passed the exams. However, the Department of Examinations needs to confirm it. Currently, Sri Lanka owes an additional $7 billion in new debt over the next few years. When we combine this new debt with our existing obligations, we are looking at a total debt of over $100 billion. Claiming the country is thriving without paying off any debt is pointless. Despite these financial issues, the government continues to operate with corruption and fraud.
This is the stance of SJB MP SM Marika.
Last year on March 21st, the President addressed the nation claiming that we had been rescued from bankruptcy. Following this, he made a statement in Parliament. What actions followed? VAT was increased, payee tax was raised, and various other taxes went up. The cost of goods soared, strangling the public financially. Electricity and water tariffs were hiked, making it nearly impossible for people to survive. I am deeply concerned about the current situation. If last year on the 21st March, they claimed we were rescued from bankruptcy, what are they planning to stage this time? Will there be any tangible relief, or is it just another deception? My fear is that, like last time, they will falsely declare we are rescued and then impose new taxes on homes or find other ways to increase the financial burden on people.
Dr. Gunapala Ratnasekara from the People's Freedom Congress made the following comments.
What we are witnessing is a grand deception. In reality, we were never bankrupt. The term bankruptcy is often misused. Typically, a country, individual or business is considered bankrupt if their liabilities exceed their assets or if they are unable to meet their obligations. For a business, bankruptcy must be declared by a court, not by the individual or entity itself. Similarly, a country does not declare its own bankruptcy. Historically, there has never been a case where a country officially declared itself bankrupt. What actually happened was that we experienced a shortfall in cash flow, which hindered our ability to make debt payments on time. This situation led to difficulties in servicing our debts, but it did not mean we were bankrupt. Therefore, saying we were bankrupt is incorrect.
MP Santh Svan took oath as a state minister earlier today.
MP Sadasivam Vyalendran took oath as the State Minister of Trade and Environment in the presence of President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the President's office in Colombo. S. Vyalendran contested the previous general election under the SLPP and was elected to Parliament from the Batticaloa district.
The All Ceylon Working Committee, Executive Committee and Politburo of the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumna met in Colombo.
The meeting commenced at 10 this morning at the official residence of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
අපි පහුගිය වතාවේ යෝජනා වෙච්ච විවස්සා සංශෝධන ටික සමස්ත ලංකා කාරක සභාවෙන්
We had to complete the matter of approving the amendments made to our party constitution from the All Ceylon Working Committee. All the amendments were approved. Moreover, the members of the All Ceylon Working Committee expressed their sentiments. What they pointed out was that we need to work with leaders who agree with our principles, who can work in partnership with our party and who respect and accept our culture.
පිළිගන්න අපේ සංස්කෘතිය පිළිගන්න නායකයින් එක්ක ඉදිරියට වැඩ කරමු කියන කාරණේ තමයි අදහසක් හැටියට ඉස්මතු වෙලා ආවේ.
ඔබතුමාගේ මේ බලතල කප්පාදු වුණා හෝ වෙනස් වුණා හෝ මොන හරි දෙයක් සඳහන් වුණා නිකම් අනතුරේ එහෙම දෙයක් වුණාද?
There was no such thing. It was not a reduction of authority. We will delegate matters and work together.
අපේක්ෂයක් ඉන්නවා අපි පිළිබඳව වෙලාවට නිසි කාලයට දැනුවත් දෙන්න.
අර කියනවා ජනාධිපතිතුමාට උදව් කරනවා කියලා. එතකොට බෙදිලා වගේ තමයි රටට වෙන්නේ.
Numerous opinions are expressed before every presidential election. That is common in Sri Lankan politics. There was a division when Mahinda Rajapaksa was named the presidential candidate in 2005. MP Welgama left us when Gotabaya Rajapaksa was announced as the candidate. There are many opinions, but we will make the decision that fits both the country and party.
Newsfirst, with the people.
Sri Lanka's Education Ministry has requested security to be provided to institutions due to ongoing trade union action.
Due to ongoing trade union actions, the Minister of Education has urgently requested the Secretary of Defence to swiftly devise a comprehensive security plan for schools and colleges. In an official communication signed by the Ministry's Secretary, the proposal outlines plans to deploy civil security services for nighttime school patrols and to ensure food security for residential students in institutions with hostels. Simultaneously, the Ministry has reached out to the Secretary of Public Security to implement enhanced security measures across all state universities. The Ministry of Education has formally requested measures to safeguard university faculty, students, non-academic staff and property in a written request. Members of the non-academic staff attached to schools island-wide staged a trade union action today by calling in sick. They requested for the establishment of a national non-academic service policy. The Organization of Education Non-Academics claimed, apart from the non-existence of a policy, they face numerous complications on matters concerning uniforms, transfers, leave, official duty times and benefits. Several protests were also held in line with the trade union action. These are the protests held in Anuradhapura, Kurunegala, Polonnaruwa and Kandy.
We are launching this action to oppose the lackadaisical approach by education officials to address our concerns. We will not renounce this action until we win this struggle.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education in a statement noted that the concerns faced by non-academic staff at schools have been addressed considerably over the past 2 years. It added that creating a national policy cannot be done swiftly.
Today marks 53 days of the strike launched by the university non-academic staff. They are on strike raising their concerns against a 15% salary reduction and the failure to provide their pending allowances. Satyagraha campaigns have also been organized opposite several state universities. The Satyagraha protest of non-academic staff of University of Peradeniya has reached its 6th day. A group of university lecturers also expressed their support for this Satyagraha today.
As those who are working in various fields, we should look at the struggle of other professionals in an emphatic manner. Raising questions about the slogans, whether they are suitable or not, is not ethical. To be honest, I don't see any problem with the slogans. They are reasonable demands.
The Satyagraha protest, which was commenced by non-academic employees of Rajarat University, reached its 5th day. The non-academic employees of Uvavelas University also participated in a Satyagraha today. Today marks 6 days to the Satyagraha opposite the University of Ruhuna. Meanwhile, the University Trade Union Joint Committee announced that a discussion will be held tomorrow between the university non-academic employees and the State Salary Committee.
Fear of illness shouldn't be a daily reality. The Anamadua-based hospital receives a lifeline, a repaired dialysis unit, essential medical equipment and a brand new water purification system.
The Vehicle Importers Association of Sri Lanka expressed their concerns over allowing a limited group to import vehicles.
වාහන 1000ක් ඒ කියන්නේ බස් සහ වෑන් රථ 1000ක් ආනයනය කරන්න සුළු පිරිසකට
A handful of people, new agents, were given the opportunity to import 1,000 buses and vans. There is injustice being done to the importers as well, as only several individuals are permitted to import the vehicle and the price is also fixed. It is also unfair on us, the parallel importers, because we have been denied imports for years. Several years ago, there was a proposal to bring Volkswagen to assemble vehicles in the country. This has once again surfaced with a new face via a cabinet decision. This company in question can now import a duty-free vehicle vehicle under the guise of assembling a vehicle. That means zero tax payment to the treasury, and there will be no addition to that vehicle after it is imported. As per the cabinet vehicle, electric vehicles, electric three-wheelers as well as PHEV vehicles. A small e-vehicle has a 5 million rupee duty. A mid-range e-vehicle has a 12 million rupee duty. PHEV vehicles have a duty from 20 million to 70 million. So when such vehicles are imported without duty, they can be sold in the same condition. We are told that a shipment has arrived and not released to the market.
නමුත් මම හිතන්නේ ඉදිරියේදීම මේක මොකක්වත් නැවැත්තුවේ නැති වුණොත් ඉදිරියේදීම මේක වෙළඳපොළ නිකුත් වෙයි කියන එක තමයි අපි හිතන්නේ.
Sri Tamil Arusakachi MP President's Council M Suman says that he welcomes the PUCSL's announcement of rejecting a proposal by the Adani Green Energy Limited.
Currently, various encroachments are taking place continuously, affecting the environment of this Mannar island. It was reported that the PUCSL had announced that they cannot grant permission to generate electricity from wind turbines in Mannar. They cited the lack of information as the reason for the decision. They were not given important details regarding the MOU signed with India or information regarding the impact on the environment. So, the PUCSL announced they cannot examine the matter and give a decision until they receive all details. This is a clear sign that the PUCSL is working independently. Development activity should not be done in a manner that affects Mannar Island and the people living in the area. No one objected to setting up windmills here. They have many concerns regarding the places in which they will be constructed, the manner in which they are constructed, and the actions taken by the government regarding the effects caused by the construction. Without considering them, the government has given permission to implement the project hastily. So we welcome this decision by the PUCSL.
அனுமதியை கொடுத்திருக்கிறது. ஆகையினாலே பொது பயன்பாடுகள் ஆணைக்குழுவினுடைய இந்த அறிவித்தலை நாங்கள் வரவேற்கிறோம்.
High Commissioner of Pakistan to Sri Lanka, Major General retired Fahim Aiz visited Mannar today.
Pakistani High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Major General Fahim Aiz visited the Marichukatti area in Musali today. The Pakistani High Commissioner attended an event organized at the Marichukatti Mosque premises and engaged in an observational tour of the agricultural activities.
Pakistan and Sri Lanka relations are not confined to education, tourism, defense or religious heritage, but it holds much greater opportunity, cooperation, acceptance in the agriculture as well. Due to suitable weather conditions, Pakistan and Sri Lanka holds a great natural benefit to explore the endless opportunities in the agriculture sector. In my view, the importance of agriculture sector is even increased to uplift the affected communities to become self-reliant in this situation. Muslim Hands project to facilitate Sri Lankan people by providing fencing, drip irrigation system, seeds and quality fertilizers to needy families who are holding piece of land is highly productive and encouraging at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, I assure you that Pakistan will be more than happy to share its expertise in the field of agriculture by joining hands in such initiatives which enables Sri Lankan common citizens to attain a sustainable livelihood. We are also planning to invite agriculture experts from Pakistan to Sri Lanka for capacity building of small farmers. It will surely help the community to contribute towards food security and to deal with emerging issues like malnutrition.
The High Commissioner of Pakistan also presented dry rations to around 150 selected families in the Musali Divisional Secretariat in Mannar. On the 17th of June, dry rations were distributed in some areas of the Mannar district under the leadership of new Consulate General of India to Jaffna, Seviti Sai Murali, on the eve of Hajj.
The Sea of Sri Lanka faces many threats not only because of its strategic location but also because of its unlimited resources.
The ecological structure of the Sea of Sri Lanka is severely affected due to the encroachment of Indian fisherfolk.
Amidst this situation, the crisis between the Sri Lankan and Indian fisherfolk is ongoing without a solution in sight.
The sea area surrounding Sri Lanka is called the Sea of Sri Lanka, 8 times the size of Sri Lanka's land area. The ocean and its resources are a gift of nature that belongs to our country and its future generations. Newsfirst has repeatedly reported on the damage caused by Indian fisher folk who trespass into our seas. 26 Indian fishermen have been arrested and remanded for trespassing in the Sea of Sri Lanka within a week after the fishing ban announced for Indian fisher folk ended on the 14th of June. The 4 boats they used were seized by the Sri Lankan Navy. Amidst this situation, the fisher folk of Rameswaram, India, launched an indefinite strike today, demanding the release of the fisher folk arrested in Sri Lanka and the boats seized since 2018. Our Indian correspondent said that more than 5,000 people are engaged in fishing in the Rameswaram area. This is how the boats were anchored at the Rameswaram fishing port.
22 fishermen have been arrested by the Sri Lankan Navy with their 3 boats. This is a continuous operation. This has affected the fisherfolk of Rameswaram a lot. It started with 1 boat and now 3 have been seized at sea. Earlier they used to seize 1 boat and now they seize all of them. The central government should provide a permanent solution. The boats and fisherfolk caught in Sri Lanka should be released immediately. The livelihood of the fisherfolk here has been affected. The central government should take note of this. The state government should go directly without writing a letter and take action to release the fisherfolk.
The resources of the Sri Lankan Sea are being destroyed every day due to the trawling carried out by Indian fishermen. Although we can assess the damage caused to the nets and boats of the Sri Lankan fisher folk by the illegal activities of the Indian fisher folk, the damage to the environment is immeasurable. The Sri Lankan Navy has reported that 204 Indian fishermen have been arrested, along with 27 boats for trespassing in Sri Lankan waters, known as the Sea of Sri Lanka, during 2024. The Department of Maritime Affairs said 47 fisher folk from Sri Lanka have been imprisoned in India and 32 fisher folk from India are in Sri Lankan prisons on charges of trespassing in Sri Lankan waters.
The
dialogue should be continued in accordance with the agreement reached in Delhi in 2016. The Sri Lankan government, Ministry of Fisheries and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs are not paying attention to us, although we have repeatedly insisted on the need to protect the fisherfolk on both sides. We send letters and they hold press briefings, but nothing comes of it. It is regrettable. In the Indo-Sri Lanka fishing issue, the northern fishing community is adversely affected. The resources are being destroyed. The marine resources are being destroyed again and again. Indian trawlers are engaged in activities that turn the sea into a desert.
The Sea of Sri Lanka is facing severe destruction with each passing day without a permanent solution to the Indo-Sri Lanka fishing crisis.
The World Bank Group and the International Monetary Fund launched an enhanced cooperation framework for climate action. Now, how can Sri Lanka benefit from this? Here's a look.
Madagascar will be the first to benefit from this framework through the Resilience and Sustainability Facility approved by the IMF. The World Bank Group will also actively support Madagascar's climate efforts. Madagascar will use the World Bank Group's Country Climate and Development Report and the IMF's Climate Policy Diagnostics to guide its efforts. They will focus on green and resilient investments and adaptation measures that provide immediate benefits. This includes improving public investment management, creating a new mining code to address social and environmental issues, and expanding renewable energy to increase electricity access. What does this mean for Sri Lanka? Sri Lanka can also benefit from this program in several ways. Poverty reduction. Like Madagascar, climate change worsens poverty in Sri Lanka. The program can help Sri Lanka become more resilient to climate change, reducing poverty and improving livelihoods. Collaboration. The program encourages cooperation between government, private sector and civil society to tackle climate issues. For Sri Lanka, this means bringing together all stakeholders to create effective climate action plans. Green investments. The program promotes green and resilient investments. In Sri Lanka, this can lead to more projects focused on sustainability, such as renewable energy and environmentally friendly infrastructure. Renewable energy. For Madagascar, the program includes expanding renewable energy and reducing electricity costs. Sri Lanka can similarly benefit by improving access to affordable, clean energy, particularly in rural areas.
A plane travelling from London Heathrow to the US was forced to turn back after its windscreen cracked mid-flight.
Virgin Atlantic flight VS41 to San Francisco was reportedly around 3 hours into its 11-hour journey between Greenland and Iceland when its windscreen cracked mid-flight in an incident that happened on 27th May. The Boeing 787-9 plane is understood to have been flying at around 40,000 feet and pilots turned it back to Heathrow so it could be repaired. Virgin explained that cockpit windscreens are made of multiple layers. It offered no explanation as to how the crack happened. The incident follows a number of recent issues on Boeing planes. In January, a panel on a Boeing 737 MAX 9 plane operating an Alaska Airlines flight was ripped out mid-air, leaving passengers fearing for their lives. The firm has since faced major scrutiny. The incident sparked concerns over quality control at Boeing, resulting in the US Federal Aviation Administration imposing limits on its production. The FAA also temporarily grounded 171 MAX 9 planes, resulting in thousands of flight cancellations at Alaska Air Group and United Airlines. Boeing has been approached by the Standard.
Reports have surfaced that Iran smuggled 2 planes out of Lithuania bypassing sanctions, and one of those planes was due to fly from Lithuania to Sri Lanka.
2 Airbus A340s belonging to Gambia's leasing company Maca Invest, which were due to fly from Lithuania to Sri Lanka and the Philippines in late February, ended up in Iran. Reports suggested that the aircraft transponders were switched off once they entered Iran. Shortly afterwards, the aviation data platform CH Aviation reported that one aircraft landed at Tehran's Mehrabad airport and the other one landed at the Konarak airport in Chabahar in the south of the country. In this manner, Mahan Air, an aviation company operating in Iran, retrieved 2 of its aircraft in circumvention of the existing US sanctions related to Iran's nuclear program. A 3rd aircraft belonging to Maca Invest remained in Lithuania. According to the director of the airport, it was not allowed to take off because of the spare parts it carried. He said that the plane was due to fly to the Philippines, but we assumed that it could have landed in Iran as well, and nothing could have prevented that. Lithuania's state-owned navigation service provider told that the 3 planes did not raise any suspicions, and their movement outside Lithuanian airspace was within the competence of air navigation service providers in other countries.
Minister of Sports Harin Fernando stated that he will resign from his ministerial position if allegations of indiscipline within the Sri Lanka cricket team participating in the 2024 T20 World Cup are proven. There is a group in Sri Lanka who want to see the team lose, and they celebrate those losses. There are some who tarnish the images of these players. A former sports minister has said that players go out at night and report for practices at 9 in the morning. If anyone can prove these claims that the players went clubbing or so, I am ready to resign. I will stand by the players, and that does not mean the players are always right. They too have their shortcomings.
In more sports news, Sri Lanka women beat West Indies women by 4 wickets in the first T20 International in Hambantota.
Sri Lanka women won the toss and elected to field first. Batting first, West Indies women posted 134 runs for the loss of 8 wickets in their 20 overs. Hayley Matthews top scored with 30 runs. Sri Lanka's Chamariyatha Pattu picked up 4 wickets, while Inoshi Priyadarshini bagged 3 and Ama Kanchana picked up 1 wicket. Chasing 135 runs, Sri Lanka women got off to a wobbly start. However, Vishmi Gunaratne and Harshita Samaravikrama smashed 35 runs each to push Sri Lanka toward victory. Sri Lanka women won the game by 4 wickets with 8 balls remaining. South Africa overcame rain and a strong late resistance from West Indies to surge into the semi-final of the T20 World Cup after 10 long years. South Africa and England have already qualified for the semi-finals, whereas all 4 Group 1 teams in the Super 8 stage of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup are in the running for the 2 remaining spots.
This moment is all that I've been dreaming of. Well, focus. Somewhere I feel
Batting first in North Sound, the West Indies posted 135 runs for the loss of 8 wickets in their 20 overs, chasing a modest target of 136, which was reduced to 123 of 17 overs due to rain. South Africa were on top at one stage before suffering a collapse. While there were concerns they might end up falling short in a big World Cup again, the lower order bailed them out right at the end to seal their spot in the final four. South Africa defeated West Indies by 3 wickets, while the DLS method in the rain curtailed Super 8 match. All the games of the ICC T20 Men's Cricket World Cup are aired live on TV1 of MTV Channel Private Limited and www.sirasatv.lk.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.